I want to tell you something about the first time I had real money in my account. Not a lot by most standards, but more than I had ever seen with my name on it. And instead of feeling proud, instead of feeling like I had arrived somewhere, I felt this immediate and almost physical urge to get it out my hands. We all been there, right? Not to spend it on something stupid, just get it out my hands. Pay off something early, buy something I didn't need, move it somewhere I couldn't see it. Like having it sitting there was dangerous. And I remember sitting with that feeling and thinking, why? Why does having money make me anxious? Why does saving feel like I'm daring something bad to happen? Why do I feel more comfortable when my account is low than when it's full? And it took me a long time to understand that that reaction had nothing to do with math. It had nothing to do with financial literacy, and it had everything to do with what money meant in the household I grew up in, what it represented, the tension it created, the way it was talked about, or more accurately, it wasn't talked about. I inherited a relationship with money. I just didn't know it yet. This is Sana E. I'm XO. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about something that most financial podcasts never go into, the psychology underneath your money behavior. Because until you understand why you do what you do with money, no strategy is going to stick with it. And trust me, I've done thousands of strategies just to see what was going on with my money habits. So here's the thing that financial education almost always gets wrong. It treats money as a math problem. Income minus expenses equals savings. Invest here, budget there, compound interest over time. And all that is true. And we're going to cover that all in art two. But math doesn't explain why a man who knows exactly what he should do with money still doesn't do it. It doesn't explain why someone who makes more than enough still feels like they're running out. And trust me, I've been there. I know how it goes. It doesn't explain why someone who spends compulsively after a bad day or freezes up when it's time to invest or sabotage themselves right when they start to get ahead. Have you been there? And that's not a math problem, that's a psychological one. Researchers name this financial trauma, and it is not a soft concept, it is a documented psychological response. When something in your financial environment triggers your nervous system, a low bank balance, an unexpected bill, a conversation about money, your body responds the same way it would to any other threat. Cortisol spikes, blood flow moves away from your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for long-term planning and rational decision making, and floods the amygdala, your threat response center. So in plain terms, when money stress hits, your brain literally becomes less capable of making good financial decisions. The thing that would help you most, the clear strategic thinking, gets pushed down by the very anxiety the situation creates. And in a 2016 study, 23% of Americans, including 35% of millennials, that's you and I, reported experiencing psychological effects similar to PTSD due to acute financial stress. More than a third of our generation has experienced trauma level responses to money situations, and most of us were never told that's what it was. So when you find yourself making financial decisions you know are wrong, when you know you should save but you spend, when you know you should invest but you freeze, when you know you should ask for more help but you accept less, the question is not, why am I so bad with money? The question is, what did money mean where I came from? And am I still responding to it? I'm gonna let that resonate with y'all for a second. So let me tell you about the house I grew up in. Money was not something we talked about openly. When it was talked about, it was usually in the context of not having enough of it. The stress was real, and I could feel it in the tone of voices I heard, in the way certain conversations would suddenly end when I walked in the room, in the things that weren't said but were absolutely present. And I observed all of it, not as information, as identity, as what money is. Money is stress, money is tension, money is something that happens to you, not something you build. Money is the thing that determines whether the atmosphere in the house is heavy or light. And the atmosphere was heavy more often than not. I don't know what I was learning, any of this. And that's the thing about the programming. It doesn't announce itself. It becomes your default, your baseline, the invisible operating system running underneath every financial decision you make as an adult. And here's what makes this specifically complicated for Black men in America. Because our money stories aren't just individual, they're intergenerational, they're structural. The wealth gap between Black and white families isn't a reflection of individual choices. It is the cumulative result of systems that deliberately excluded Black Americans from wealth building for generations. Redlining, discriminatory lending, wage suppression, barriers to education, and capital. Research shows that financial trauma can be transmitted across generations. The same way our trauma is, chronic financial stress reshapes how parents interact with their children, what gets molded, what gets silenced, what beliefs get passed down as truth. A man whose father grew up in genuine scarcity, who passed down that anxiety to his son, who is now passing it to his, is not failing. He is carrying something that was placed on him before he was old enough to question it. And we're gonna question that today. Show. I'm not telling you this to give you an excuse. I'm telling you this to give you an explanation because there is a difference. An explanation gives you somewhere to start. An excuse gives you somewhere to stop. And the starting point is this. Your relationship with money is not fixed. It was learned. And anything that was learned can be unlearned, or at least examined, understood, and consciously rewritten. So, what I want to do now, I want us to break down the scarcity mindset specifically, because I think this is one of the, this is how should I put this? This is the one that catches most men off guard, right? A scarcity mindset is not just thinking you don't have enough. It is a persistent, often unconscious belief that there will never be enough, regardless of what it is in your actual account. It is a psychological state, not a financial one, which means it does not automatically go away when your income goes up. Trust me, I thought it did, but it didn't. Some of the men trapped by scarcity thinking are men who are earning real money. And that was me. Like all through 2024, I was making great money. One month did over six figures. And that was new to me. And y'all know what I did? I did not have the financial literacy to keep it. Just as fast as I made it, it's just as fast as it went. Then I bet you're thinking, oh man, that was a smart, it was a good move. Man, in all retrospect, my mindset at that time is I'll make it back. I did it once, I can do it again. But it's still understanding, yeah, you can make it back, but still putting the systems in place so you can um, make it back as well as have that nest egg in case you don't make it back. But here's what it looks like in practice. It looks like making financial decisions out of fear of losing what you have rather than a strategy for building more. It looks like avoiding looking at your account because of what you might see feels threatening. It looks like emotional spending, using purchases to soothe the anxiety that money creates, which of course only deepens the financial stress. It looks like refusing to invest because investing means letting go of money and letting go feels like losing. And perhaps the most dangerous and perhaps the most damaging for ambitious men, it looks like undercharging, undervaluing, and accepting less than your worth. Because at the deepest level, scarcity mindset whispers that you should be grateful for what you have, that asking for more is risky, that success might be taken away. So you plan small, you stay safe, you leave money on the table, not because you don't deserve it, but because some part of you believes scarcity is a natural state. Ain't that something? A scarcity mindset, it is dangerous, especially when there's abundance out here. There's always more than enough for you to get more than enough. But it's understanding I have to do the work to get the abundance because you learn the scarcity mindset. Now it's time to earn that, unlearn that, and learn to have an abundance mindset. And it's not going to happen overnight. It takes time to where you will have to do the work as well as you may have to hypnotize yourself at night. If you don't know, your brain goes into a theta state where while you're sleeping, you're more prone to be hypnotized into a certain way of thinking. It's like reprogramming your subconscious mind. So you listen to this right now. If you're like, hey, how do I do that? Go on YouTube, look for a YouTube video, I would say tape, YouTube video where it's really going over money habits, money system, talking about money, positive effects of money, and just listening to that as you're sleeping. Put in the wired headphones, go to sleep, put that on play, and do that for 90 days and see how it reframes your money mindset. But Princeton and Harvard researchers studied thousands of people across different countries and found that feelings of financial scarcity, regardless of actual income, significantly impaired cognitive performance and drove short term thinking over long term planning. Perceived scarcity consumed mental bandwidth the way a computer running too many programs slow down. The researchers called this tunneling. You become so focused on the immediate financial threat that your ability to think strategically about the future collapses. This is not a weakness. This is biology under stress. So when I say you cannot out earn a broken money mindset, this is what I mean right here. You can make more money and still think someone who doesn't have enough. You can hit financial goals and still feel broke. You can build real wealth on paper and still make fear based decisions because the operating system underneath hasn't been updated. And the update starts with awareness. The awareness starts with the question I want you to sit with after this episode. What did money mean in the house you grew up in? Not what your parents told you about money. What did you feel about it? What was the energy around it? What did it represent? And the answer is the beginning of your money story. And you get to decide whether it's also the end. So here's where I want to land this. Not in the womb, but in the work. You know, we love doing the work. Move number one. I got 4 moves for y'all. Name your money narrative. Before you open another budgeting app or read another wealth building book, sit down and write out the beliefs you actually hold about money. Excuse me. Not the ones you think you should hold, the real ones. Money is hard to keep. Rich people are dishonest, always end up back at zero. I don't deserve to have more than the people around me. Whatever they are, write them down on paper. You can examine what you haven't named. For me, I did what I named the narrative, money narrative. I always end up back at zero. I'll make it back. You can't take it with you. Use it as a tool. Do I deserve this? Those are the ones I came up with. Move number two, trace it back. Once you name the belief, ask, where did this come from? Is this something I decided or something I absorbed? Was this my parents' relationship with money, a specific event, a pattern I witnessed? Most of our limiting money beliefs are not conclusions we reach. They are experiences we survive. The survival beliefs were designed for a context that no longer exists. Me, I'm tracing it back. Childhood memories, my parents' relationship with money, and a pattern I witnessed over time. It wasn't taught to me, I caught it. And now I'm knowing now. Move number three, test it against your current reality. Scarcity mindset runs on old data, right? Your nervous system is still responding to a financial environment that may have been real 20 years ago, but it's not your reality today. When the fear shows up, when you feel the urge to contract, to avoid, to play small, ask, is this threat real right now, or is this my history talking? Number four, build evidence of the new story. Rewriting a money narrative is not just a mental exercise, it requires new experiences. Open the savings account, make an investment, even if it's small. You got to start somewhere. It'll compound over time. Ask for a raise. Price yourself correctly. Not because these moves will immediately resolve the anxiety, but because each one creates a data point that contradicts the old story. You are slowly and deliberately building proof that a different relationship with money is possible for you. Did you know financial therapists and researchers agree healing a scarcity mindset requires both a psychological work and behavioral action? The beliefs change faster when they are contradicted by lived experience. One financial win a month of intentional saving, a negotiation that goes in your favor, an investment that holds does more for your money psychology than 10 hours of journaling about it. The brain learns through experience, given new experiences to learn from. This is the work underneath the wealth work. It's definitely not optional. Every financial strategy we will discuss in this arc two, every conversation about investing, about income, about protection, about legacy will land differently. You've done this work first. So do the work. Trust me. I had to do the work and I'm grateful that I did the work because it was needed. But here's what I want you to hear before I let you go. The fact that you grew up in a financial stress, that you watch adults around you struggle, that money in your house meant tension and not enough. That is not your fault. None of this was your fault. But your financial future, that is your responsibility. And I say that not to put pressure on you, but to give you power because responsibility means you have agency. It means the story is not finished. It means programming can be updated. It means the man who inherited a scarcity mind can, through deliberate work, build a completely different relationship with money and pass that new relationship to the generation that comes after him. That is real generational wealth. Not just the money, the mindset that money comes from. And your homework this week, yeah, you got homework. And I don't say that lightly. I mean this literally, is to sit with that one question. What did money mean in the house I grew up in? Write it down, sit with it, and don't skip this, because this is where the real work starts. But next week, we're going deeper. We're digging deep into the scarcity mindset specifically and how to break free from survival mode with some money. This was gonna hit. Trust and believe. But with that being said, man, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Share this with somebody. I know we all need that financial literacy as men, as women, whatever it may be. Share this with who you think this may help because it starts with you changing the next generation as well as changing the current generation. Share the show, subscribe, listen on Apple Podcasts. We are on YouTube, man. Go listen on YouTube. Go be a subscriber. I know y'all be on YouTube like that. Subscribe to the channel at Sanai. Everything will be in the show notes, man. I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Hey, it's your boy's birthday. Go ahead and pass this to me. That's one gift y'all can give to me. Share this with somebody. Appreciate it, man. I'm about to go celebrate the rest of my birthday, but I had to get this information out for y'all. I love y'all. I'll see y'all